Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Digital Artcast. Thanks for tuning in again to something that we hope you guys will enjoy. And the format has been all over the place the last couple of weeks. We're trying to bring on different people from different industries and different backgrounds. Again, returning to kind of bread and butter. We are with entertainment designer and artist today, art director, someone who has kind of founded his own space in the art space and is helping now students grow and people get into jobs during this time when layoffs are really at their maximum, and we're really seeing a lot of that. So really, stepping forward into the ring and helping where he can, which I think is always great, and why I want to get people on the Artcast to talk about their journey, because people like him are the guys who will hopefully bring the next generation of artists through into work and keep them there. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Tim Mathon. Hey Tim, how's it going?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me there.
Yeah, of course, man. I think my first introduction to you was, oh God, I'm thinking now, but it was maybe a couple of months back.
On Facebook, I think.
Facebook originally, but then I think there's this thing with the disconnect where Facebook, where I'll add people because they're creatives or they're artists or they're within the industry, just to expand my network. But then I think I watched one of your YouTube channel videos, and then
oh my God.
The two kind of like connected, and I was like, oh, that's that guy my friend's list. I didn't even notice. Because I think it was the whole thing of how you basically got kicked out of college or left college and then got into a job at Ubisoft like within a couple of years, which is like more common the case I found with concept artists and designers. Like school seems like a thing where you're held back by it almost, instead of like encouraged to do better, because they wanted to do to their standards, to their systems, to the way they think should be taught. And I mean, definitely, like, I was having a laugh the other day with one of my friends, how when I started 3D modeling back in when did I join university? 2016, 2017. The university I was at, that year I started, had just switched from Lightwave, or Lightroom, whatever it's called, to Maya. Like, they were using, or Lightform. It was like an archaic 3D software. I don't think anyone.
Yeah, there are some dinosaurs at that point. Oh my God.
Yes. They're like, oh, we discovered this thing called Maya. And it was only because Axis were at Glasgow at the time, and they were kind of encouraging people like, oh no, we've been using Maya for ages. It's what we use. So they're like, oh, we need to switch to it. But like, yeah, I always feel like schools have that thing behind. So take us back. Obviously, you've talked a bit briefly about it in your YouTube, but you originally left, you went to school for art, essentially, like for
yes,
illustration, design, something like that.
It was a concept art class.
Okay.
So I was there for concept art. I started as a 3D guy.
Mm-hmm.
I did 1 year in 3D, and then I transitioned to the concept art class.
Right.
And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to crush it. I'm already in the school. I know how it works. I was not the guy who wants to do concept art, except that all the kids were in class with me. They were way better than me.
All right. Okay.
And the entire first year was traditional, and I was mainly a digital person. I jumped directly into Photoshop and 3D.
Right.
I had some fundamentals, but I didn't know how to translate them traditionally. So it was a very painful year.
Right.
I had to basically do everything in 3D Photoshop, then put my screen flat, duct tape some paper and trace on it.
Oh, you mean like traditional, like it was like pen and paper?
Yeah, it was only pen and paper. There was zero digital that first year. And I was like, oh no. So yeah, literally laying my screen flat. I stabbed one of my monitor with a pencil one day accidentally. So I lost one monitor when I was a student.
Jesus.
And I did that for the entire year. I didn't know how I managed to graduate in the second year. I was like, okay, finally it's fully digital. And now it was 2014, 2015. It was the time where big artists like the Naughty Dog artists like Mache, Shadi Safari,
right,
John Sweeney, all that generation of artists were starting to become big. They arrived on the market with photo bashing.
Yep.
The first occurrences of 3D use for concept art.
They were bringing the juice.
And I was like, this is the future.
Yep.
And finally, it resonated with me. I was like, I don't have the time at school to learn and practice traditional drawing as much as they want. So that I don't just that they don't have the time. They want me to have result.
Yeah.
I need to play with what I have. And as soon as I discovered that, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my niche. So I started committing fully to 3D. I was able to utilize my year in 3D school before. I was playing to my strength. And most of the teacher, except one, they were like, you are cheating. And it was already starting to to bug me out because, okay, I did not steal any artwork. I didn't do anything. I think my camera
Oh, no,
bugged
you're
for a
there.
split second.
Yeah.
That's fine. So yeah, I was not stealing anything. I was not cheating according to my definition, and I was sleeping. While
Right.
all my classmates, they were not sleeping at night. They were drawing, and I was saving time. My perspective was good. And it was that conflict with the school during the entire year. And eventually, I decided to quit.
Right.
I was like, there's no way to continue in a school I pay for that want to discourage me from trying, calling me a cheater while I'm just achieving results in other ways.
Right.
And they want me to stick to their methods, but none of those teachers, they are concept artists. So why should I even bother listening to them? I was a little punk at the time. I'm still a little punk, just a bit more mature, but I'm still one of those very rebel guys.
Yeah.
I think. And it was not fitting with the school. I left, and the only teacher who was believing in me, he took me under his wings. He was like, okay, you want a job? Okay, start with Ubisoft, do this, do this, do this, do this. I followed exactly what he told me to the letter when it comes to the content of my work, or I should structure my portfolio.
Yeah.
I applied. I got my job first try. It was the first time I applied to any company. I got the job.
Yeah. But they also sent you a test as well, though, and you started to do like a test and did a process. And
yeah. Of course, I went through all the hoops of the hiring process. The first interview, it was one day before Christmas. Then the art test the next day, just after my birthday. I probably slept like 8 hours in 4 days during my art test. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was very intense. It was very hard. I was like, okay, this is way beyond my level, but I have no try. I need to do it anyways, and I surpassed myself.
Yep.
And second interview in their studio, and eventually they hired me.
Right.
So I started working in 2017. I had a few freelance experiments with my former teacher. He gave that to me in order to have a few lines on the resume in order to apply to Ubisoft. So he was very kind to me. I got hired, and I was like reflecting on what my teacher told me. And also on the first question the HR asked me during that first screening interview, which is, so you graduated from art school and you got your degree, right? In my head, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I just say, no, I'm self-taught. And she immediately interrupted me like, no, we prefer self-taught artists rather than graduate. At the moment, I was like, what? Really?
Thank God. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just me thinking the school was trash. It's really that schools in general are trash. Not all of them, but at least this one I was part of was very bad.
Yeah.
And this was a huge revelation. And I was already angry at the school. And it made me even more angry at that school.
Yeah.
Because I was starting to get like a big red pill about that art school, especially.
Yeah.
I was really realizing, okay, so the kids who are going to visit that art schools, they are in high school, they are like 17, 18. They don't have a sharp enough eye when it comes to noticing what is professional art from what is just a fancy picture.
Yeah.
So the school is gambling a lot on the credulity of those artists and kids to sell them anything. And when those kids realize that what they have been taught is not enough to join the industry, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Either they already graduated and they are just crashing on the doors of the industry. And a lot of artists today are doing exactly that still.
Right.
Or else they are maybe 2.5 years through the process. They are 6 months away from graduating. The school already got all their monies and they just have to commit to just reassure the parents.
Yeah.
And it made me extremely angry at a lot of art schools. Not all of them. There are some that are extremely good.
Yeah.
But most of them that are just businesses to milk the dreams of those students.
Yeah.
I started to be very hostile to art school with a passion. Not vocally, but in my mind, I was finding it very unethical and morally abject.
Yeah.
Overall.
Which is probably part of the reason why you're now teaching and doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm going to come to that a bit later. But I was angry, but I was having a job. And then my career started. I did Ubisoft, I did Netflix, I did Quantic Dream, NetEase, Share Creators, a lot of outsourcing for games.
Right.
Then I decided to I also did Quantic Dream. I decided to transition from concept art to illustration, like D&D illustration, because I've been the GM for over 15 years and it's been my thing.
Oh, nice.
And I've been building most of my career alternating between pre-prod concept art and illustration.
Right.
So I consider myself more like an illustrator slash, I know this is not a trendy term today, but at the time it was like keyframe designer at the time.
Right, yeah. It's quite a natural, like even like Miche, like the last time I spoke to him, with him working for Marvel, it's quite a natural progression, I think, for what you do.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of pre-prod and fancy pictures where there was a lot of mood, a lot of storytelling involved, a lot of senses being engaged that you can smell the picture and really to pitch the early project.
Yeah.
I worked on some Warhammer stuff, some Total War, some
nice.
Lord of the Rings related games, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So
you're doing stuff with Creative Assembly and things like that as well.
Yeah. Indirectly working for them, yeah. So that it's been my career in terms of production. I moved a lot to crypto gaming when it was still trendy and still hopeful, let's say. I did concept art, I did art direction. I went back to normal gaming just before crypto gaming crashed.
Yep.
As an art director this time at Eden Games and senior concept artist. And gradually I've been starting to teach in schools.
Yeah.
And I really noticed what I was afraid of, that some schools, most of them were very bad. And a very few that I've been teaching at were extremely good. And no wonder why they were so good and why the other were so bad. And the problems I got when I was a student, which is that I was not satisfied with what they were teaching. I tried to compensate that. Of course, I know, as I told you, I'm a bit rebellious. So maybe my way of teaching, despite granting result, is probably not the most conventional one.
Right.
And I got into a lot of troubles with some bad art school.
Right.
One of them that I was teaching at last year, and it was the final nail in the coffin that really motivated me to launch my mentorship, is that I got low-key lied to about the level of the student. I was preparing a big environment design course with 3D. It was supposed to be very intense. They never opened Blender in their entire 5 years at school.
Oh, wow.
Their level being between 4th and 5th year was abysmally low compared to other art school, even bad ones. And I had to change my program on the fly. And I was just like, okay, let's do an introduction to Blender. Let's get you to practice. And as they are doing stuff in autonomy, let's just discuss about the industry and the expectations. That's the best I can do to save the day.
Yeah.
And I gave us my insight about the industry. I answered their questions. It's nothing that is groundbreaking. It's just me answering questions from students about how it works, my experience and all of that. At the end of the 5 weeks of teaching, the school was like, okay, we're not going to pay you because you told them too much and we are in trouble because they are angry at us now.
What? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, sure. I got my money, thankfully, but I was extremely angry and I was like, okay, F most art school. I'm going to build my entire art school.
Yeah.
I'm going to build my thing, my vision. I'm going to start a movement. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I started to do a free course, which is an entire curriculum that is what I wish I had at the time when I was a student. It's a compilation of everything I have learned from or I wished I had at the time. And the goal of that course is to provide you a better curriculum than an art school for less than $1,000 a year by buying online tutorials. And I'm getting discounts to everyone now, thanks to the fact that it's growing big. And I started that. And at the same time, I started teaching a mentorship because across all the years I've been teaching that, I was teaching the method that my teacher told me when I graduated. I got kicked out of art school. And when I got my job at Ubisoft, I understood the principle and I tried to beta test that formula on students. And those who applied it, they were not numerous, but they got a job. Those who didn't apply it, most of them didn't get a job. So I was like, I'm adding on to something. And I worked on that. I launched my mentorship about that. And it's been a year and it's grown extremely big to the point that I'm only teaching now. I transitioned out of the production to only teach. And the results have been mind-blowing.
So you're taking on like zero like client work at this point? You're just
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with my final client in like a few days, and
right.
I just want to devote myself to teaching because it's grown so big so fast, and I love so much what I'm doing. I'm surrounded by artists who are better than me, who are getting and producing crazy stuff. We are getting in touch with companies. We are getting those artists to get more opportunities in a few weeks than some people get in a whole year, especially at the moment, and we're going to talk about that. And I mean, I don't know if you are on my Discord, but feel free to have a look. It's such an active community. It's very positive. And to me, even for my own mental safety, this is my own bubble that is shielded from all the shitstorm happening in the industry at the moment. And I'm very aggressively protecting my community against the negativity at the moment. This is like a heaven of peace, a heaven of hope, where you find people that are motivated, that are not disenfranchised with what's going on. And what is happening is bad. Of course, don't get me wrong, but I don't want my student or my community to give up to the bad news and end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
There are still options to navigate that. It's hard, of course, but it's not hopeless.
Yeah.
That's the message I'm trying to give to my community. And the results have been absolutely stellar.
Yeah. And then I take it you're going almost like the FCD route, like thing. You know, you've done so many years in production. Now you're shifting to making the schools, getting more people into work.
Yeah. I'm not hiding it. I've been learning from Feng Zhu. I've been binge watching his videos at the time. I see my mentorship as a way that I condensed the 400 hours worth of video that he has into one course that is structured. This way you don't have to find a few gold nuggets and piece them together in the right order.
Right.
It's done for you. I consider the knowledge being free because Feng Zhu told it already way better than me. What I'm selling is the implementation.
Yeah.
And the follow-up, because my mentorship is not just a mentorship, it's me following up until people get jobs. So every week, twice a week, I'm being the art director of all my students, helping them building their portfolio, helping them on job acquisition, preparing interview, checking with them how much money they may ask, training them for negotiation, and helping them on anything I can do without breaking any NDA. So I won't be able to help them on art test, of course, but anything else I want to help them. And yeah, we are building such a big network of professionals. A lot of people got hired already. A lot of people are in touch with companies. Some people are getting like 2 to 3 offers per month, like flat out offer with a paper to sign per month. And especially with the state of the industry at the moment, it's proving to me and proving to my student, and hopefully I hope it will be possible to prove to a lot of people that it's possible to navigate and win even in that crappy situation. Yeah. I know it sucks, but we need to face also the fact that a lot of people are not doing what is required to get a job. And I'm glad Feng Zhu started to speak about that, because before that, every time I was opening up about that, I was getting a shitstorm thrown at me.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think just to cut in there, I think what because I talked to, I forget the guy's name I was talking to the other day, but anyway, I was talking to a professional and we were talking about that, how I see some artists who are putting, like Vincent and stuff, who are putting stuff on and they're getting like a backlash of like, you know, about the industry. I think it is just the mood at the moment, because so many people are either have been laid off or about to be laid off, so they've got this idea of like, well, I've done everything right, but I still got sacked. The company still shut down. I still got fired. So, I mean, it's one of these things where there's a balance, right? You want to inspire people and keep them upbeat, but at the same time, you don't want to like comb over the fact that like the whole industry is on fire at the moment. Like there is a balance, I think, in there you've got to kind of find. So
yeah. It's a matter of balance. I completely agree. And I need to be careful with the words that I choose, because it can be very polarizing. I do not mean no harm to anyone.
You're a rebel, Tim. You're a rebel.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a rebel, and I'm purposefully posturing myself as the mean guy on LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn is my main acquisition. I'm always throwing a very abrasive meme that hits a pain point, and then I'm delivering value. And because I don't want to work with people who cannot see through that mask. Okay, this is the joke. This is to catch attention. This is to disrupt that degenerately, stupidly corporate world that is LinkedIn, throwing so many bad advice like, oh yeah, entry-level job should be entry-level job. No, it's not how it works. I prefer a harsh truth than a comforting lie. And I think I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, and the negativity is the extreme negative part, and LinkedIn corporate BS is the extremely fake thing. And I'm seeing myself in the middle, like,
Right.
let's focus on the truth, even if it hurts. And I understand people being butthurt, especially those who got fired. Same with AI. I understand. I think any artist in the industry can understand the problems surrounding ethics and copyrights. There's no. It's useless to debate about that. Everyone can understand that in 5 minutes. Anyone is entitled to be angry and feel whatever they want. But venting online, throwing tantrum, spitting vitriol, fear-mongering people out of the industry, preventing, almost discouraging them from even trying. I think this is not helping. I understand why people would think this way. I understand the psychology, at least the superficial level of psychology of why people like to conglomerate and wallow in misery. But this is not what I want to deliver as a message, because to me, spreading bad news, it's not helping anyone. Every time someone is like, oh my God, new AI, bad news, new layoff. Okay, it sucks, but it's not in my control. So what should it be my problem? I'm this kind of very cruelly, I know it sounds cruel, but it's
because you can't control the world. You can't like control corporations. You can't walk up to the president of the companies and be like, please don't shut the studio down because I don't want you to. You have to do whatever you can do to make the situation better.
Exactly. I'm all for accountability. I know it sounds like your favorite tough guy on the internet, whatever, but not in my control, not my problem. And I'm sad. I'm not even angry. I'm just sad to see so many people spreading the bad news and thinking in a very collective and abstract way, because it removes them their agency. I want to think personal and actionable. This way, you have full responsibility of what happens. You're not responsibility for the layoff or for the state of AI or for any bad news in the world, but you're responsible for how you react to that. And if there was a message I wanted to deliver, and that's the first thing I'm teaching my students, it's social skills. See a lot of people who are very aggressively going berserk online about any problem, especially regarding the industry. It's going to backfire at them very soon, because it's clear that during a hiring process, people might be susceptible to check your social media. And if they see that all that you have been doing in the last 6 months is spitting vitriol at everything online, it's going to be bad press for them if you have their name of the company in their bio. And for any company, it's going to be easier and cheaper to not hire you or even fire the problematic person rather than having to deal with a shitstorm regarding PR. So a lot of people who are very aggressively vocal, I'm not speaking about the one who want to defend the right of artists against AI, like Carla Ortiz, who are filing up what needs to be done, and they are never insulting or throwing vitriol. They are trying to be rational and actionable. I'm talking about a lot of people who are very emotional, writing like almost political essays about corporate greed and capitalism and AI and what they are quitting. They are not realizing two things, harsh truth. I'm sorry. First of all, even if you have the level to be hired, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, because it shows a lack of emotional control and a lack of conflict resolution skills. And this is something that is needed in a team environment. We are client facing. We are constantly dealing with people, with clients, art director, or other team member. And a company doesn't want drama, especially in the US, in California, where the government gave a lot of power for the employees to turn back and sue the companies. They want to make sure that when they are hiring someone, you are not a ticking bomb that is going to explode in the company. And emotional control, conflict resolution skill, and the ability to be actionable. I know it's super cruel and everyone is entitled to feel angry. Me too. I am. It sucks. But you need to think in terms of job acquisition, I think. And that's one side of the argument. Giving up to the misery and all of that, it's not helping, in my opinion. And I'm kind of appalled to see certain people almost fear-mongering young artists from even trying. I don't want to throw any conspiracy, but I'm kind of worried to see that behavior. While I believe as an artist, I'm not even that old, I'm just 29. I like giving up. I like seeing young artists becoming even better than me. And I think that it's not threatening my job.
I mean, also the thing as well is that, what I would say is, you're looking at the industry, obviously you're bringing people in the industry, you're getting people into work. But what I would say is that, because people will say, oh, about the industry. But then if you are literally watching people sign contracts and get employment, because if you were coming to me in this podcast and being like, by the way, Gordon, you're right, it's a total shit show. Like, I can't get anybody into work. I can't get anybody hired. I can't get any, but you're not. You're coming and being like, no, like people in my Discord are getting hired. Like people are getting jobs.
Yeah,
so,
I'm going to come to that at some point for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like when I interviewed James, who's like your kind of co-partner in the art thing you run, he was saying as a consultant, what he's finding is going to bigger companies is they can't find people at the moment. They're really struggling to actually find people versus like people thinking there's no jobs, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I'm starting to shift my project. It was just a mentoring project at the beginning. I'm starting to move more and more towards the talent acquisition for companies.
Right.
Because
let's get back to you've got the students, you've got the talent, so why not? Yeah.
Yeah, I really want, and this is a shout out to all the companies potentially watching this. I want to get in touch with you. I want you to tell me exactly what you want from your applicants, and I want to give that to my students and hopefully gain your trust so I can get in touch with you. You see the pool of talents I have, and if there is one that you like, you hire them.
Yep.
If there is one that you think has potential, you tell me what to do, and I'm going to train that person for you. It's going to save you a ton of time, a ton of headache, and you won't have to hire boomers talent acquisition on LinkedIn that are not artists and are wasting your time and money.
Well, this is the biggest thing, right? This is the thing I think that is now coming to a head after all these years of people working in production. Is for years, and like, look, I know a bunch of recruiters. They're decent people. They're trying to do a job, but they usually hire in an industry or a sector where they have no knowledge of what needs to be hired. I have went through so much, like 2 AAA studio interviews I went through the last 2 years, and the recruiter was like, "I love your portfolio. It really speaks to me. I think your work's incredible." Blah blah blah. And then you get to like maybe the final production meeting, we can meet with the art directors and the heads, and they're like, "Yeah, well, your stuff's good, but you're maybe missing this." And I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, to have that knowledge going into the very early process of like, we're looking for 2 production designers. It's realistic. It's sci-fi. Blah, 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 and you're like, okay, right, cool. I know exactly what you need. You need this person. You need that. Almost is like a difficult transition because it's hard for them to speak to art directors and seniors and say, I know you're a great artist and an art director, but do you want to be a recruiter? So like, I think almost combining those 2 things and kind of doing a bit of art direction and teaching, but also doing a bit of recruitment, you've got the kind of total package there, right?
That's my job. I see the problems of artists not able to find a job and companies not able to hire as 2 sides of the same coin.
Right.
And on one side, on the side of the artist, and I'm so happy Fengzhu finally opened up about that because I was feeling alone. And every time I was mentioning that before, I was getting a shitstorm. Now that Fengzhu, the figure of authority, mentioned that, everyone shuts up about that, and this is great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you look at the videos of Fengzhu, like the 109 explaining exactly the environment design breakdown, it's 3 years old. How many times have you seen a call-out sheet on our station in the last 3 years? I cannot even recall.
Yeah.
But that's a different subject. But so many artists today, they don't understand what is required. Again, go watch Fengzhu's videos. He's hitting the nail perfectly on that.
Yeah.
And you have 99% of aspiring artists. Their work, it's not that it's good. It's not good enough. It's just that it's not what the industry needs.
It's not production.
It's not even a question of level. It's not production ready.
Yeah.
So you have 99% of artists fighting for maybe 5% of the jobs, which are the low-paying crumbles. And it's like, okay, there is that artist in France willing to do that for $400, but this guy in Poland is willing to do it for $200. Then a guy in Mexico for $100.
Right.
And okay, let's hire that guy in the Philippines willing to do it for $30 a day. So it's a race to the bottom. On the other side, you have that top 5% of artists, and it's not even the level. It's just about your ability to match what the industry needs. Your job as a concept artist is to give models to the 3D team. This way, even if you are not there, they know exactly how to model everything.
Yeah.
That's your job. Solving problem and telling stories. But the core job is to make the life for the 3D guys easier.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with the level. And even with an average technical level, if you understand that, you are getting a job. We have so many occurrences of that. People that never got a job before. I'm going to mention, for example, Alex. Shout out to you, Alex. She got 2 offers on the table with 0 experience, just with a few pages of call-outs.
Right.
And 0 experience, 2 offers on the table with a price. This is more than most people found in 6 months.
Yeah, see, this is interesting. Where I'm asking for myself more really this question than anything else. But when I've looked at some people who have studied at FCD, I know within like when they do the first year courses or the 1 year short course, like the first 3 months, I think they do nothing but draw. They draw for like 10 hours a day because I know Feng really tries to build in that foundational skill. We obviously talked about your past in the school and doing traditional stuff. Do you feel like there's a level you need to hit in traditional where it isn't like you're an illustrator, but you can draw enough that like you can communicate an idea? Essentially, is what I'm trying to look at. Yeah.
It's not even about drawing skill. You can
Mhm.
perfectly do it in 3D. You look at my colleague James.
Mhm.
He's working exclusively in 3D, but he's doing call out sheet in 3D. That's fine.
Right. Okay.
So as long as you can communicate your ideas well, it's fine.
Mhm.
Drawing, it's probably one of the fastest, not the fastest, but depending on what you do, it's still one of the most technology proof and future proof way to do it.
Yes.
It's not my case. I'm a 3D guy. That's
Mhm.
fine.
Mhm.
But anyone can find their medium. That's fine. As long as you can communicate your ideas well, the technical execution doesn't matter.
Right.
And I like to see everything from the spectrum of offer and demand, supply and demand.
Right.
If something is easily accessible, it has less value. And back in 2016, when I got hired at Ubisoft, I got away with arguably bad design skills because I was able to render extremely well for the time.
Right.
Photo bashing was new, 3D was new.
Mhm.
It was compensating my lack of design.
Right.
Today, it's so easy to make something beautiful.
Mhm.
Anyone with 3 weeks of training on Blender and $200 given to JAMA on big, medium, small,
Right.
you play Legos with pre-made assets, you press F12, you wait 4 minutes, you have a fancy render.
Mhm.
And this is why it's so enticing. It's low effort.
Mhm.
There's a high probability you will get up to a beautiful picture.
Mhm.
There's little risk for failure. It's
Mhm.
fast to do, so it's very appealing. On
Right.
the other side, what Feng is teaching, or what hopefully me I'm teaching,
Mhm.
is okay. Dream outcome: a picture that is not that fancy, but people need. Probability of making it properly, 90% of your work is going to go to the trash bin because you need so many iterations.
Mhm.
Time to make it is going to be very long. Effort and sacrifice, you're going to bleed. So it's not very enticing. That's why you don't see that many call out sheets or production ready work on
Mhm.
ArtStation. But for a company, because this is rare, this is extremely valuable. And
Right.
the other side of the equation is that the 5% of artists, they have 95% of jobs.
Mhm.
They have so much job and work that they are booked until 2026, 2027.
Right.
And they cannot take more jobs. So companies, to get them, they have to pay them ludicrously high price, like 800, 1200, 1500 a day.
Mhm.
And this is ludicrous price.
Yeah.
Like
I was gonna say
1500,
1,500 a day is ridiculous. That's some people's
1500 a
weekly
day.
pay. Yeah.
This is almost 450 G's a year.
Yeah. Something like
Let's say
that. Yeah.
half a mil a
Yeah.
year,
I
roughly.
mean, if you're working obviously the full year, it depends. Obviously, on the contract, you may only work
Yeah,
3
of
months or
course.
something. Yeah, but yeah.
Let's assume you work full time at 1,000 a day,
Mhm.
full time with a few vacations. That's roughly
250, something like 220, 240.
230, 240
Yeah.
K
Something.
a
Yeah.
year.
So nearly 250,000, basically.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
quarter of a million. You live extremely well anywhere in the world.
Yep. So, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, this is the thing as well that's interesting where, so, I mean, the 3D stuff is probably akin to also meaning that you might only work in a certain section of the industry, because then if you're doing more 3D than 2D, you might do more photorealistic stuff, more movies, more Netflix stuff, like you said. So it's less like you want to work for Blizzard or Riot or something like that, where obviously that skill is more illustration, is more hand drawn stuff. Yeah, but then but like I have seen people make the jump, like Matthias Sameke. So
Yeah.
he obviously started when I went to his talk in 2018, I think, at Industry Workshops in London. He was showing his work on, I think, Division 2 at the time, or Division, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it was all 3D photo bashing. He was breaking down his layers. But now you look at Mathis work, and it's like,
Super stylized.
Riot Games, like Dream Animation, Ghibli style stuff. But then like he's obviously on the back of working professionally and doing the stuff that was photorealistic. He's then now, of course, like in his own time, drawed and illustrated and taught himself how to do
Yeah.
that stuff by himself. And now is where he is now. So it's not a thing where like if you start there you can't progress. It's just that sometimes you can take those jobs to get experience and then in the back build into what job you want to work in. Because
Completely.
no
Yeah.
job in this industry is a linear path. You can always divert.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's something I say to my students is that the first job you're going to do, the first specialty, by no means this is defining your entire career. This is just your entry point, and you should play to your strength and what you like, of course.
Yep.
As soon as you get that job, once you have that security, you can expand on your free time and
Yeah.
progressively either you expand your skill set or else you niche in
Yeah.
even more and you become the specialist about one thing.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, so you're doing this, you're building all the back end, and you're bringing people into work. Is this a thing eventually where you'd like to build something like kind of brick and mortar school, or are you still just trying to do it exclusively online?
I mean, I am anti-school, so
Yeah,
this is going to be the punk version of a school if one day
yeah,
we
yeah.
have a facility.
Mhm,
I like the online structure. This
mhm.
is more easier. I don't want people to have to move there. It's
Right.
very costly to move to a place.
Yeah, yeah,
That being said, I'm in touch with the government of a country, not France, another one,
yeah.
to potentially establish at least an office right there.
Right,
Be have the stamp of approval from the government and the Ministry of Education in
right,
order to eventually access the ArtStation school profile.
right.
This way, I can give way more visibility to my students. They
Mhm,
can register to the rookies, and they can get even more visibility.
right.
And even on my side, it
Mhm.
makes me more credible as an office.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I like to keep it small.
Mhm,
I will delegate a bit of feedback and follow, but I don't want to have a full school structure. I want to keep it small.
mhm,
And I like that idea when it comes to that business.
mhm.
This is what I call the 4L: low cost, low complexity, low human, low tech.
Right.
Keep it as simple and straightforward as possible.
Yep.
And I like to have that direct relationship with my students. At some point, there will be too many people to handle. So I will have to hire former mentees who
Right.
got a job and are way more specialized than me into something. I'm already discussing that with some of them. I would
Right.
probably hire other people or solicitate the service of other people like James, for
Mhm,
example,
mhm.
on feedback, or maybe on the talent acquisition side because he's already specialized in that.
Yeah.
I will have to build a team at some point.
Yeah.
For now,
I mean,
it's not the case, but
yeah.
it will be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things I've noticed as well with guys like Antonio Staparts, who's running things like Artwad, what he's done, which makes a lot of sense, is that the people who came up through his program and then, of course, were really, really good, and then quite late to getting jobs and then getting experience. He's then brought them back into Artwad as instructors. So now he has
Yeah.
that staff level of like, well, these guys were excellent students, but now they're professionals. Now I can bring them back in as teachers. So you're kind of like you're building a kind of chain loop of student, mentee, then professional, and then back to teacher, and then so yeah,
Totally.
yeah, yeah,
Totally. And I want to connect with other platform like Artward. Even one day, I hope I can connect with Fengzu. I see he's often liking when I share my students' work.
right,
So I'm assuming I'm going to a good direction.
yeah,
But again, I want to get in touch with everyone in a
mhm,
benevolent and win-win way.
yeah,
That's also the reason I created that mentorship, is that so many people in the industry, and there is a dire need for that, they are focusing on the technical part of art.
right, yeah,
I'm not a technician. I was considering doing a mentorship, but I was like, why would I teach environment design when there is like Satish Kumar
right, okay.
or Leo Avro or Tyler Edlin?
Anyone
Or,
who's doing
or,
it
or
really well, yeah,
yeah, they are so good. I have nothing to bring to the table on that point.
yeah,
But besides Feng Zhu in his video,
mhm,
and I'm sad to notice that Feng Zhu's video have been there for years. The video 106 about how to get a job, which is literally the playbook on how to get a job, it's
mhm,
been released 3 years ago. Nobody listened, despite
yeah,
170K view.
yeah,
Nobody listened
mhm,
because it's hard and people get discouraged very easily.
yeah. I mean,
So
yeah,
that's the reason I built that mentorship. It's to close that gap. Everyone talks about the technique. Nobody talks about the other side, which is the business aspect of art, and
mhm,
more specifically, the business acquisition, the job acquisition part.
yeah. I mean, I've had this conversation with a couple of people in the last couple of weeks and months when I've been kind of revitalizing the podcast and bringing people on. Is that I think ArtStation has, in a sense, poisoned the next or the
Yes.
previous generation of people that are coming up. When I left my job as an engineer, it was like 2012. So like ArtStation wasn't even a thing then, but obviously concept art was only just starting to become a thing even then, like 2009,
Yeah. Yeah.
2010. It's a job that's appeared kind of out of nowhere, but like
Yeah.
like yeah, ArtStation for a while it was the thing you'd open up and you'd see the big picture, the big building, the little person, and that was all
Mhm.
you saw for like 5 or 6 years, and it was all that was trending. And it feels like no one has really came out and said like, guys, don't pay attention to this. And like you said, Feng stuff's been up for free. you know. And I mean, even if you can't afford Frank's school, if you go through his whole YouTube channel, like that costs absolutely nothing. Like you can just literally sit with his playlist just on all day and take notes. And that's what I done, you know, early on before I got like my jobs, was I just literally sat in front of the computer and took notes every day. I had pages and pages and pages of everything he was talking about. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
And it's about ArtStation. I see that like in the Instagram for art. Like you see on Instagram,
right. The likes,
the body shapes and the lifestyle that you see on the front page of Instagram, it's not the norm. It's not even what is recommended for a lot of people. It's just what people like to consume. And it's the same for ArtStation. What you see on the front page of ArtStation, even when you log off and just have the ArtStation curated, not the thing curated to you, the ArtStation selection,
right?
It's not what the industry needs. It's not what the industry has done, even when there is a logo from a game, because it's just a curated version of that. They never show the crappy sketches, because on an investment standpoint, an investor would see the sketches, would not have the eye, and would be like, okay, you artists are garbage. What the hell is happening right there? So they want to show the sexy stuff. And this is just what people like to consume and press like on, and the algorithm wanting you to stay for as long as possible, just like any other social media, rewards that. And what you see on the front page, you might think it's good, it's the norm. For some people, it's very good, of course, but this is not what the industry needs. This is one of the first things that I'm teaching in my mentorship. This is the difference between ArtStation material, you know, the quote unquote trending on ArtStation prompt. ArtStation material, production material, and portfolio material. Portfolio material, ArtStation material, we know what it is. This is the fancy picture, the sexy keyframe, the bimbos,
the shiny boob armor, as Shad used to call it.
The splash arts, and you this is something I'd call the oh shit, another one effect. You're seeing an art piece and you're like, I have seen this 50,000 times already. And I mean no disrespect to anyone, by the way.
No, of course.
Me being blunt. I mean no disrespect. Myself, my portfolio is a mess right now. Okay. Let's be honest, my portfolio is a mess. You want a good example of a portfolio? Go see James Nguyen, for example. Go see my student Alex Calderon, for example. Go see those. Those are good examples. But production material, this is anything that is required for the production. So design stage, you refine the design, you settle on the main character or the main subject, you do three things. You do the call out sheet. So for a character, this is front view, side view, back view. For an environment, this is the isometric drawing. You do the props, and also maybe if you have the time in the company, if the company requires it, you do the polish picture. That's the three thing. Broad design, you narrow it down until you settle on the main thing. Call out, props, polish picture. That's the production pipeline. The thing is, in a production pipeline, at some point you will have a character. Once you are settled on the character, you do the character in A pose, and you just do variations on clothing. If you do that in a portfolio, okay, it matches production material, but another director might be like, do you know how to pose a character? So in a portfolio material, that's the difference between portfolio and production material. In a portfolio, you need to trim off the fat. Anything redundant, you remove it, and you display your skill. In addition to display, you could do the production material. So instead of doing a character in T-pose with different clothing, you do several characters that are different in body shapes, facial features, with different clothing, different poses, and they know because you over-deliver on that, because you are able to pose a character, iterate on a pose character, you are able, certainly, they don't have to see it, you are able to T-pose a character, iterate on that one too. You need to over-deliver all the time.
And again, what's these things, like even with ArtStation now, I think especially since the whole AI thing and all that kind of stuff, it's something like 20% of accounts on ArtStation aren't even artists. They're just fan accounts or people that are there to just either shit on artists or troll them. I mean, and this is years ago, where like Frank Sung, I mean, he posted up his Abby 3D model from Last of Us 2, and the comment section on that whole post was just absolutely ridiculous. And half of the people commenting, you would click on their profile, and it was literally just a profile picture and a blank background. And it was obviously they just made an account to either troll him or be an ArtStation to fan some stuff. But Yeah, it feels like ArtStation. I feel like since it was sold to Epic, it's kind of just went downhill. It's not what it was, what the original vision was for ArtStation, and I feel like it's hard because nothing has really came to surpass it or replace it. There's nothing, really apart from like an online portfolio, obviously, or Behance or something. But like ArtStation, for years was kind of the industry standard of like where you would put your portfolio, where people would go to look for people to get work.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's also something I had. This is a bit of a joke. This is not to be taken literally, but I'm often saying to the artist, you see what you see on the front page of ArtStation, you do the opposite, you get a job.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's,
I think Feng actually said that at one point.
yeah, at the risk of sounding extremely arrogant, but I'm glad that Feng Zhu say that because he's the figure of authority now. So I can parrot what he's saying now.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when just to cut in there, but the reason I kind of reached out to you initially to get you on the Artcast was because you made that post about Feng being at iMag, and you were saying about the portfolio
you ripped
reviews.
apart 90% work.
Yeah.
Some people cried, and it was sad. And I remember during his presentation,
Mm.
at some point he dropped that thing, like all those sexy picture. He was rambling about that. At some point, you know what? AI can do it.
Yeah.
You saw some people's face
like drop. Yeah.
dissolve,
Yeah.
drop, and some people were not happy about that.
Yeah.
Very not happy. You see some people chuckles and were about to boo him.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
You have so many thousands of keyframes that are all the same with Jamas Knight and all Stormtroopers and things like that.
Yeah.
AI knows the formula and is doing it extremely well.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, he wouldn't have said that to really discourage people. He was trying to encourage people and say, like, well, sure, it can do that, but if you then want to rise above that and still keep working,
if you want to future-proof yourself,
you need to then make things that it can, that, the orthographics, the call-outs of the rooms, the design, especially design, like designing a space, designing a functioning room, designing a ship, a car, a robot, like all that stuff that's functional. That's the stuff that will get you, like you said, hired. That's the things that people need done for 3D modelers. Because if you want to work in games specifically as well, like if we're just talking about working in video games, the end product is an interactive medium that works with a controller and somebody sitting in front of it working with it. You need a real world, you need something to be 3D modeled. So, the 2D image stuff comes at the start, but it's very, very little part of the production. The bigger part of that is building the game. So
completely. And we need to remember that we are not really special. We are part of the pipeline, and so many people depend on us. And honestly, you want to make more money, solve more problem for people that are after you in the pipeline. The more problem you can solve, the more money you are saving to the company, the more they can afford to pay you while still being profitable.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, 3D modelers can model and stuff like that. And I mean, definitely there's people, especially at the senior level, who can come up with ideas and think of stuff on the fly. But if you can literally sit with a piece of paper and design a mech, from start to finish, like, oh, they'll have a cool arm because this thing happens and then it comes out and turns, all that stuff is way more infinitely viable than making the pretty picture. Even just a pretty picture of a mech. If you make a mech but then make it functional, all the call out stuff, like you said, all the devices, all the guns, everything on it, that's way more important than the pretty picture.
And also, even more important than that, even though this is a second layer of complexity, and again, I'm glad Feng Zhu talked about that. I don't go on ArtStation anymore because it's making me feel bad.
Right.
When you look at some pictures, you can feel the psychology of the person behind. And I don't see people having fun. I see people suffering and kind of sleepwalking through trying to getting a job. I don't even know if they really enjoy what they are doing.
Yeah.
And every time I see something goofy or silly, or every time I feel that the person is having fun doing that, it's making me laugh or smile.
Yeah.
And that's also something I say all the time to the students. It's whatever emotion you feel making your work, people will feel exactly the same watching it.
Yes.
So if it feels like a chore list, people will absolutely hate consuming your work. If you suffer, they will suffer too. But if you enjoy what you're doing, if you are having fun, first of all, you will over deliver.
Yeah.
They will see you are having fun and that you are more prone to over delivering.
Right. Yeah.
So this is very important. And today's this is clones of clones of clones of clones on ArtStation.
Yeah.
And it's, it's
It's not something
looking
that's
the
going to encourage
same.
people to then pursue the goal of being an artist in the industry and then want to do it. Because you've got to have fun in what you're doing. I think that's why people have to pick their path and pick it well, because when you get like 3-4 weeks into a project and you feel burnt out, if you love still what you're doing, then that will push you past the point of, I can't do this anymore, I need to stop. So
totally. And I think this is also tied to the fact that there is too much today. There's too much art on ArtStation. There are too many tutorials from everyone, and people, they don't really know how to curate all of that. That's why I created my free course. And I was discussing that with James the other day. I was saying, first of all, my personality, I'm very guru oriented. And when I mean guru, I don't mean your average scammer, your crypto scammer on Telegram.
Right.
I mean the real sense, the real definition of guru, which is someone with a secret, teaching that only secret. And at the time, back in 2015, 2014, when I started my education journey, there was only a few artists doing tutors. I binge watched Anthony Jones from 2013 to 2015, and it was the only one. Then it was Mache, and then it was Jama. Those have been my three gurus, and maybe I picked a few other tutors from similar artists.
Right, yeah.
But today there are thousands of different artists doing their methods, and you can get lost into that. Me, it was Feng Zhu, Anthony Jones for the technique of painting, Mache for photo bashing, Jama for 3D. It was very simple. It was very straightforward.
Yeah, I think making that niche is very important. I have seen an artist I follow on Instagram where she talked about when she started doing her illustration concept stuff, she made a pure F board, and it was literally like, I think 3 artists that she kind of called out and said, every time I make something, I'm meeting within this triangle. Are these the people that I'm influencing? Does my piece look like something they would make? And I think trying to narrow that vision will make you a more cohesive artist in the end.
Totally.
Yeah. So, okay, so you've done the schooling, went through that, got the job, worked to that point. Now you've opened the school, and you're only 29. What else is there left to do? Like, what's the next thing, Tim? There's going to be something else, some hill you've not conquered that you're thinking about. What you want to do with the remainder of your life. Do you think it's going to be teaching for the next 30 years, or do you think it's like something else that will be evolved from what you're doing?
It's weird. I do not really consider myself as an artist anymore. I'm a mentor. I mean, I got 7 years in the industry. I think I don't really have to prove myself, and I'm okay becoming. I'm already technically irrelevant,
right?
But I'm an art director. I know to think. I know to teach people. This is my main skill, even more than art. And I'm not teaching them how to become rock stars in the industry.
Right.
I cannot teach someone how to become Jama or Feng Zhu because I did not reach that level.
Right.
But I can teach them how to get a job because I did it for 7 years.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm teaching. And if one day I'm teaching more, it's going to be with the help of people who are legitimate to do that.
Right.
So I'm teaching them how to get a job and how to tell stories in their pictures.
Yeah.
But regarding projects, I'm hungry, man. I'm very hungry, and I want to conquer the industry. I want to. It sounds extremely bold and pretentious. I don't care. I really want to become the reference middleman between companies and applicants.
Right.
To get back on what you said previously regarding recruiters that are outsourcing for companies, they are not artists.
Yeah.
They are boomers on LinkedIn. They don't have the artistic eye. And I find a lot of them extremely rude during the interviews. Like, for example, they're asking you about your financial expectations.
Right.
And this is such a bad question to ask. And this is such a bad answer to give without even knowing the project.
Right.
You are a freelancer, you want to discuss price. First of all, okay, give me the product information. Let me see the NDA. Let's discuss about the project. Let's discuss about the rhythm, what is expected, for how long. Give me everything I need to assess the scope of the work.
Right.
And then I can give you a precise price.
Yeah.
There is no way I can give you a price because my price could be 400 a day if I have pretty much nothing to do, but it could be 1,000 a day if you're asking me to manage a team of 50 people.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know that. Yeah. So they are completely out of touch with the process. And I'm pretty sure they are getting companies to lose a lot of time, a lot of money,
Yeah.
And because those people, I'm assuming they are commission based, in addition to having a price, they probably have an additional commission if they funnel someone into. They just want to funnel as many people, hoping that one of them will be caught.
Yeah.
And I think it's not helping.
Yeah, no, it's definitely what I found. Is, I mean, like I said, the process I went through recently, where I was getting told like, "Oh yeah, you're the perfect candidate, and there's something that we want," and then to get to the end process and then be like, "Oh, well, maybe if you had this in your portfolio, maybe," and then you're like, "Oh god, shit," you feel like you're wasting your own time, which obviously in this industry is really valuable because you don't want to be jumping from, review to review and then constantly missing out on jobs because you're waiting on hearing back to people. It's difficult. So I mean, yeah, that's the thing as well. Now, so if you probably, people have got to this point in the interview and we're kind of towards the end, but if there was something you had to try and give people advice on, like if they want to make it in this industry, what would you think is the things that people are really missing these days? Things that are overlooked very easily when it comes to being a concept artist, a concept designer.
I could do a shout out to my free course and my free video about how to get a job, but I will do that towards the end.
Yeah.
And you will probably put the link somewhere
I
in
will
the
indeed.
description, something like this.
Yep.
But my main advice in a more serious way, stop thinking about what you want and start thinking more about what the company wants from you. This will get you jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want the fancy, at least for concept artists, but even for 3D artists, for any artistic job, or even any job, even beyond the art job, you are not entitled to get a job. We are in a sales process. I know as artists, we are very allergic to sales and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It works in different ways. Instead of being an influencer at Dubai with a Lamborghini and two bimbos, it's going to be an artist with a hoodie, a cat sleeping in a basket, and a fancy walnut desk with some cozy lights and plants.
Yeah.
It's the same. But despite us not liking marketing and sales, as soon as you are working with someone, you are in a sales process. Yeah. Instead of selling bread in a bakery, you are selling your brain power, your problem solving ability, your storytelling, and your art. And you need to solve a problem. You need your client to have a problem, to understand that avatar, that is your client, to understand their pain point, what they want. From that problem, you make a product, which is your art. From that product, you make an offer, which is your service. And that offer, you convert that into a sale.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and then eventually you just rinse and repeat. Once you've done that process once, you just go and find work more and more with different companies. So yeah, so I mean, you talked about your free course. So if you want to plug that, where can we find that stuff? That's obviously, I'm assuming it's through your YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, I will give you the links, but theartnest.academy/free course. For my free course, it's 100% free, and I will not spam your email. There will also be access to my Discord through that. And if you want to get a 40-minute video about how to craft a targeted portfolio that gets you a job, it's free again. theartnest.academy/portfolio guide.
Right, okay. The Artnest, right, okay. Yeah, and again, we'll leave all that below. We'll leave all your links below so you guys can click on that, and Tim's contact details as well if you want to get in touch with him. And yeah, I mean, like, essentially, if you want a job, go work with Tim. Go be a mentee with Tim, and you'll get a job. That's pretty much what I've heard for the last hour, is that you know what you're talking about, you've had enough experience, and you're keen to get people into work. So, why would you not want to go work with him? So, and you do obviously the private mentorship as well, the one-on-one stuff where people can pay. And
I do a bit of one-on-one consulting sometimes, but I do mainly mentorship in group right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then I take it those fill up pretty quickly as well. So you want to get on board really quickly with that as well. And yeah.
And join in the free course or in whatever link that you stumble for me. You have the link to the Discord. You will find a community that is safe from all the fear mongering and the toxicity you might find online. That is hopeful, very active, and I'm delivering everything. I'm doing my mentees feedback publicly. Everyone can join. We're doing webinars. We're watching Pengzu's video together and commenting on them. We are doing so much stuff.
Fantastic.
Just one last thing. If it's possible to be hopeful, to get back on that idea of the 99% of artists struggling to get a job because they are not doing what is required, it saturates the market.
Right.
And there are two ways to see saturation in the market. if you are on the bad side, you're going to suffer a lot, and you're going to be ejected from the market eventually unless you change.
Right.
But it means if the market is saturated, it's very easy to stand out if you do what is required.
Right. Yeah. Kind of the diamond in the rough. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what my students are doing. And some of my students, they just replace the miniatures of their ArtStation profile by call-out sheet instead of keyframes.
Right.
They are getting opportunities just with that.
Right. Okay.
That's how easy it is to stand out today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
with the proper instruction.
That saturation is a strength, to be honest, if you know to utilize that.
Which is great, because I think that's the thing we've suffered from for long enough, is that, Feng's great, but his school is quote unquote expensive. If you don't have the cash flow to really go there and study full time.
It's not even there yet. The school is done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And we talk about, like, even we talk about proper schools. Like, I would say people who I was thinking in the industry that teach to a level that would get you work. So you have Antonio's Artwad, you have Feng, Darek Zabrowski's school, Focal Point.
New Edge Paris, and that's pretty much it in France.
So there's maybe
outside in France too.
And especially in Europe, there's maybe like 5, if even that. So it's like, it will eventually become the norm. We'll probably get a generation later down the line where these things will be more commonplace. But I think people have obviously been clambering for this kind of stuff. And it's probably why your stuff has took off so quickly, because there's been a thirst for this stuff to be readily available. So thank you from the community, I suppose, is what I want to say, Tim. It's great that you're doing it, and really happy.
Anytime, man. It's always a pleasure to share that. If you want us to do other stuff, let's do it. It's always a pleasure. Yeah,
I've said to James as well that we might even try and get an episode with the two of you on, talk about
amazing.
Talk about what you're doing as well. And I try to get people back regularly and have people come on and talk about stuff. So we can do catch-ups now and again and talk about more stuff. But again, it's just, I think it's why for like 2 years I also put Antonio's adverts at the start of every one of my episodes, because I believed in that skill, because I have also been there where, before I got really working full time, where I was struggling to go through a lot of the online stuff and find anything that was really relevant, or apart from Feng stuff, and find any other things. But then when Antonio's school was so structured that, you had daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, that was the thing I was looking for, was that structure. Because having done 3 years at university, where I got taught basically nothing, and then had to leave and fend for myself, that was the frustration for me, because I felt so robbed that I'd spent so much money and time on that school, and then came out and I was like, oh my God, I'm nowhere near ready to work. So spending nearly 2 years, and then COVID hit. So it's been a rough couple of years, but I think places like your school and places like your online thing, and then Antonio's is the beacons we need. Even with Darek stuff, the Focal Point, it just needs, we need more people to get on the bandwagon of teaching and making these schools. Fantastic. If you guys have stuck to this point, thank you very much for listening. Of course, thanks for Tim for coming on and speaking to us about his experience. I hope you enjoyed it, Tim.
Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, right, merci. Sure. We'll have all the links for Tim's stuff down below. Make sure to check out all of his mentorship stuff, all his free courses, and of course his Discord, who you guys can join up and start learning from him today. And we'll probably just end it there and catch you guys later. Thanks to Tim. Thanks for everyone listening. And we'll see you in the next episode.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.